Alrighty then. Welcome. How you doing, y'all? My name is Wah. This is Escaping Dystopia. Tonight is episode 70, October 25th, 2018, taking a pipe bomb to the opposition. I've been doing these little shows for a while now over on the Facebook, and taking a little break from that medium for a while. I actually thought about doing that for a bit, so thought I'd try this anyway. Probably gonna do it here this week, and then over on the Twitter next week. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, the way we do things here, I do a quick kind of rundown through all the subjects we're going to be covering, and then do a little bit more in-depth kind of stuff. Uh, Feel free to join in. Always, definitely supposed to be something of an interactive show. I like taking questions, so we'll see how things work out here. Oh, never done it here on the. Is this is YouTube? Yeah, on the YouTube before. So, welcome. All right, tonight we'll talk a little bit about Spaceship Earth. This is an ongoing concept we got on the show. A little bit about how a fundamental change in our concept for morality needs to happen culturally in order for us to start exploring the stars in the correct manner. We'll do a little bit more about the migrant caravan that continues closer to the border. The president officially ordered the military to go to the border as of today. So that's happening like that. Our useless media. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our media problem. One of the things that I've noticed really recently, it's gotten a little bit out of control. Some people are trying to push against it, but there's a certain couple things about the system and style of the way that our media works, and it makes it really difficult for it to push back in these kind of situations. So we'll see. We'll talk a little bit more about that. The campaign season, of course, is deep into it. And there's been some wild shenanigans going on. We'll talk about some of those tonight as well. Jeff Flake was apparently on The View and apparently still is undecided about who to believe. The guy who had a lifetime appointment up there, or a woman who had a lifetime of ridicule coming for her for coming forward. He just doesn't know. So he voted for the guy and put him on the Supreme Court for life. Well, but I don't know. I'm still not sure. Anyway, Jeff Flake, just a good example of Republican and Mormon morality. Just right there. That kind of flakiness. On the trade war escalation, that continues with our good friends over there in the China. We'll talk a little bit more about that, about what's going on now and how things are faring. Drug price update. There was a big announcement today they tried to make about changes that they're going to do. We'll talk a little bit about one of the things that they announced and the context of it and why it's kind of like, really, guys? On the Khashoggi, apparently I was saying his name wrong last week, so apologies. The Khashoggi latest. Saudi Arabia has now admitted that the murder was planned and that it was a murder and that they did it. So that's been quite a change over the last couple of weeks. We'll talk a little bit about that. The U.S. announced it's leaving, wants to leave a nuclear treaty, intermediate nuclear force. I don't know what the F stands for offhand. I think this is our new national security Bolton really pushing. He wants to actually get into a big shooting war, and has for a long time, because he thinks we'll win it so easily, and it'll be nice, quick 3-6 months, and then the U.S. will be dominant over the world. That's what he thinks is going to happen. And then we'll do a little bit at the end about voting. So, all right. Nobody's dropped by yet, so I guess we'll see how that goes. That's fun. I like talking to myself anyway, right? On with the show, anyway. So on the spaceship Earth, one of the things that I was going to go through, and I've gone through this last few weeks talking about a few of these things, and it was one of these flyers that we get from all these ever-present churches around here in the area, and it was kind of what they were going to go through these various things. It's why is the world so messed up? was one of the questions I think they're actually going to talk about this week. Let me explain something to you about the morality system that you're using that was developed, and it's not this whole supernatural thing just isn't true. The thing before is the week before is why should I trust the Bible? Trust the Bible for what? And I mean, there's this one of those things where when you only have, like, this is an old saying, of course, when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And when you only have a Bible, everything looks like something that you can use to it. And there's a lot of vague things in there that you can find. Specifically, does the Bible really give us a good direction on how we tackle global warming? No, not in the slightest. And in fact, there's a lot of people who are very much beating those Bibles who don't think that we should have to, because in that Bible it says that this planet was given to us by these supernatural beings, and so we can do whatever we want with it, right? And that's kind of the fundamental difference. Again, I was talking about this before, and it's why should I trust the Bible? Well, you shouldn't ultimately trust it because it doesn't have very accurate things beyond a certain point. It tells the story that it's trying to tell, but that story doesn't really do much for us now. I know that's kind of so flippant, but it's not. It's not a flippant thing to say, but the depth upon which that is just not, and that's why is the world so messed up? Because we have so many people who still think that they're the answers for this modern world in this ancient and mistranslated and off translated text that isn't about any of the stuff that we're trying to deal with now. And even some of the answers that it gives are so far away from the morality that we have now and that we understand to be much more correct than what we saw there. Like, man, the biblical rules on slaves really just aren't going to come. We don't need those. They speak to an acceptance of pain and suffering of a fellow being that we're already all well so far beyond that. Why is the world so messed up? Because people still think that they can go to the Bible for answers. Oh, talk about it, folks. Talk about it. Talk amongst yourselves, even. Much better answers out there. If you find a better answer than the one that you had, take that one. You'll find that over time builds a nice stable of very effective answers to some very difficult questions because you're not the first one to ask them. And certainly not the first to search for answers. On the migrant caravan. So apparently Nutjob, freaking orange dick, mushroom dick, right? I don't know. What do we get to call him? Is sending the military down to the border. Like 800 people he's ordered. The last time he sent the National Guard down there, they don't really have authority to do much. So they kind of just clean up things and straighten stuff and help maybe with some clerical things. Apparently this latest caravan with all the attention is falling apart to a certain degree. I don't know. I don't have cable news, so apparently on cable this is a really big story. This is such a minor. I was trying to do the calculation today because there's the number of people apprehended at the border used to be in the order of over 1 million people a year. And now I think we're in several 100,000, 700,000, even like 3 or 4 this last year. Although it went up a little bit from the lows. But there's thousands of people in a given week. Probably 10,000 people easily, or maybe a month. I don't know, 2 weeks. If you're doing like 500,000 people a year, that's 10,000 in a week, which is one of these caravans a week. I mean, this isn't a national emergency. This is actually kind of normal. And one of the reasons why you have this happening, right,